Thank you so much for coming on here today. I'm so excited to have you because I just think, well, we're similar in a lot of ways where we grew up in small towns and we both moved out to LA to do personal training. So I've known you for a long time. We worked at Equinox together for quite a while. And I know a little bit about your background, but I actually don't know like a whole lot. So I just thought it would be cool to have you on to share your story of where you came from and how you got to where you are today. So I know you're from Kansas, right?
I am. I'm from Topeka, Kansas. Well, I say Topeka because no one knows where Barrington, Kansas is because it's a population of 3,000 people. But I'm from Topeka, Kansas.
Wow, 3,000 people. So everywhere you go, you know everybody pretty much.
I mean, at that point, like people just don't really go anywhere because they go into Topeka. Like the city that I'm from is called Barrington, but Topeka is like 5 minutes down the road. So that's why I say Topeka because it's literally right there. So, but yeah, I'm from Kansas.
Oh, so how was it growing up? You were the only girl, right? You have brothers?
Yes, I'm in the middle of four boys. So growing up was fun. It was hard at times, but I obviously wouldn't trade it for the world. And now, growing up, I had four brothers that were very protective of me. And now we're the best of friends, which is nice because I know that some families like are, broken and all that as they get older. But with us, we've only grown closer. And I almost, in a weird way, think that we're closer now that I'm in California.
Oh, that's interesting. Well,
Yeah.
I do feel that same way about my sister, though. I have one sibling, a younger sister who's 5 years younger, and because of the age difference, we weren't super close in my teenage years, and then I moved out at 17, and she was just, sorry, she was just starting high school. So
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of, even though I wasn't too far away, I feel like I kind of missed that whole
Hmm.
um, like part of her life. And it wasn't until I kind of moved to LA and she got married and had a baby that now we're like closer than ever. So it's
Right.
interesting that that happens.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, I don't know what it is. I just feel like since I've moved out here, and maybe it's because you only have the phone to like go by. So your relationships have to continue through nothing but like talk. You can't be there and just like sit with each other and hang out. You have to actually like call each other and talk to each other. So in a weird way, I think that's what it is. And obviously, I have so many nieces and nephews too at this point that I want to do nothing but FaceTime them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the hard part about being out here is that they're all there and I'm here. But
Yeah, I get that. I am the same way with my niece, and then I have a nephew on the way, and I just want
oh, she's having a boy.
yeah, she's having a
Oh,
boy. So I get one of each. I'm so excited.
I love it. Now, is she gonna be done after this, or is she gonna try for more?
I think she's done after this.
Yeah. I mean, she's got both. Might as well
Yeah,
just
I
call
think
it
that's what they
quits.
were going for, and now they're like, okay, we have one of each, we're done. I'm pretty
Yep,
happy.
we're good. We're good for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So you grew up with all these boys. Were you a tomboy or were you a girly girl or kind of both?
I was kind of both. I was into sports, so I played a lot of sports and I danced. So I kind of was like tomboy, played the sports with the boys and tried to fit in with them, but then also a girly girl because I definitely liked my dancing and all, my dance classes and everything and dressing up like a princess and doing dance shows for my parents. So I would say 50-50 for sure.
Wow, that's hot. So when did you end up getting into training?
So I kind of helped my mom lose 150 pounds. Like this was 10 plus years ago because it was before I moved out here. And then when I came out here, I knew that fitness was something I've always loved. And I wasn't really into it like training wise, but I liked training my mom. So I liked training, people that I was comfortable with training. And then I started working out at 24 Hour Fitness in Arcadia, California, because that's where I lived when I first moved out here. And the manager was just kind of like, you seem to know what you're doing. We just opened, we're hiring trainers. And at that point in my life, I just moved out here and I was kind of like, okay, might as well try it. And then, so I got certified and I started training, and then I just kind of fell into it, and I have loved it ever since. And that was 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Wow. So you didn't move out here to do training.
No, I actually worked for, I did customer service for a website, and I had two of my guy friends lived out in LA, and I was like, okay, I want to come visit. I had just gotten out of a breakup, and I was just kind of like, what am I doing with my life? Came to visit my guy friends and just fell in love with it. And I went home and I was like, I'm going to move to LA. And then 6 months later, I moved to LA.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did your family take that?
Mm, that's a whole other conversation. No, they're good with it now that I'm married and they love my husband to death. But before, it was very hard. It was very hard on my mom because I'm the only girl. And so it was hard for her out of all of our kids. She's like, my one baby girl has to leave, because all of my brothers live within like a half a mile radius of my parents, which is pretty crazy. But when I moved to California, it was not taken well at all, but they kind of sort of got over it as I mean, I had one brother that didn't talk to me for like the first like 3-4 months that I lived out here because he was mad at me. And it's funny because that brother is the one that I didn't get along with the most growing up. Like him and I were at it like 24/7. And he was the one that was the most mad at me for moving to California. So,
So interesting how that works out.
mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you quit doing the customer service, and then
I
you
did.
got into training.
Yeah. So I just started at 24 Hour Fitness and trained there for 3.5 years. And then I had a guy friend of mine that was a trainer at Equinox. And I went to work out with him one day, and it was weird. It was kind of like the same thing that the manager at 24 Hour Fitness did. Like, he was like, hey, you want a job? Because as you know, Equinox had opened like 3 months before that. I was like, okay, I guess I'm changing my tune and going to Equinox instead of 24, because I was kind of like I always wanted change. Like I always wanted something to look forward to. And since I was at 24 Hour Fitness for 3.5 years, I was like, I think it's a sign. Like I'm one of those people that believes in signs. Like it's a sign that I should be here. It's a sign that I came to work out. It's a sign that he asked me if I wanted a job. So I just kind of took a leap of faith and started working at Equinox, where I met you.
Yep. And it
Yeah.
was fun. I mean, it was so much fun. I was there for 6 years, almost 7, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was fun. I mean, I learned a lot. I'm sure you learned a lot.
Oh yeah.
But within the good thing about Equinox is they have, high-end clientele that really, I mean, and these people become like family to you, and your
Mhm.
clients, become family to you. And I think both have gotten really great opportunities because of relationships that we built
Absolutely.
at Equinox. I knew after the 6 years that I was there, like I just knew going, like there was a while where every day I went, I like dreaded it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
every meeting we had, I was like, oh, an hour felt like 5. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm way past my time here. And
Yeah.
I had decided to like take my clients and go private and just try
Mhm.
it on my own, which was really scary. But I
Of
feel
course.
like I made the right decision for me. And I felt like, wow, why didn't I do this years ago? Why did I stay so long? But to me, it was like a false sense of security.
Yeah.
So when I know that you left shortly after me, so when was that moment where you felt like, okay, I've gotten everything out of Equinox that I could get, and it's time to like move on.
Right. Right. It's funny. There wasn't a moment inside of me that said, like, I think it's time to move on. It was my clients that were like, why are you still here? Like, we want to go. Why don't you, you know what I mean? Like, they kind of warmed me up to the idea of taking away that safety net and just jumping all in. And like, all of them were like, we have gyms at our house. Like, why are you not coming to our house? So they kind of like warmed me up to that idea. And then I just once again took another leap of faith. I was like, you know what? You're right. Like I could be doing so much better for myself outside of Equinox and on my own. So I did. And I kind of just never looked back. I quit in August of 2018 and that was it for me. Like I was done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Yeah.
it was one of those things that I never regretted it. Like I never felt like probably should have put in a little bit more time. Like I almost like am kicking myself thinking, wow, if I've done this much since I quit, like what could I have done if I would have quit sooner, you know? But obviously timing is everything and it has to be the right time to move on. And it finally was. So 5 years and it was.
Yeah, that's great. My clients were the same. Like I had a client that I still have where I train the whole family. And
Yeah.
and the husband, the dad, was like, do you know how much I pay Equinox a month to have my family train here? Like, what are you doing here? I could be paying you this. Like, I know you could do that. And a lot of my and so I was nervous that the rest of my clients wouldn't come with me. So I started to feel around, and I'm like, so would you guys be and like
Yeah.
kind of going with me if I? And they're like, well, yeah, you're the only reason I'm still here. I have
Yes.
to go home. Like, let's go. And I took all of them with me, and I'm like, wow, why didn't I do this so much earlier? But yeah, timing is everything.
Absolutely.
And it's been great. And now with this pandemic, it's like, thank God that we left when we did, because
Oh,
a lot
absolutely.
of those trainers are struggling because obviously the gyms have been closed. And
Yeah.
so that's another thing. How has training been with this pandemic?
At first, it was like there were so many unknowns. Like, do you come over to my house? Do I train you from afar? Do you do some push ups in the grass? Like, how are we doing this? And then once people started gaining the COVID 15 or whatever we're going to call it, everyone's like, where are you at? I need you. I don't care about this. Like, we have got to get to work. And, and so it's been good now. The first couple months was definitely a struggle because no one really knew what to do or what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. So the first couple of months was a struggle, but then after that, we just kind of I started training them again. And there's a couple of people that I'll wear a mask in front of while I'm training them. That's just, they feel more comfortable. But then a few of them are just like, no, as long as we keep our distance, we're good, and they're good. So now it's been great. Like it's better than ever, but there was definitely a period where we had to go through a bit of an adjustment period.
Right.
So
yeah, it's interesting because in the beginning I was busier than ever. But most of my clients wanted to do Zoom, which I'm sorry, actually ended up working out better for me because I could fit in more people. I didn't have to take into consideration the LA traffic and drive time. So
right.
I was able to kind of book people back to back. And then throughout this process, like this whole thing, I have a lot of clients whose businesses have taken a hit from COVID, and so they're like, oh, I gotta cut back, or they're just tired of they're tired of doing it over Zoom, but they don't really feel comfortable having me there yet, and they're not, so. And then I have some elderly clients that can't do either one, so it's been like in Zoom or in person or over Zoom. So it's been interesting. It's definitely been like a roller coaster of like being really busy and then not so busy, and busy and not so busy. So it'll be interesting to see like how this plays out. And then when gyms open back up, like, who knows? But getting new clients in this pandemic has been interesting.
Yes.
and I've gotten a couple, but it's just like kind of it's like word of mouth, and then I don't know. It's interesting not meeting them in person,
right?
Like straight up going to Zoom and just trying to get to know each
other.
I
misunderstood. You got new clients through like strictly Zoom, like you have not physically seen them in person.
Right.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, because I've gotten a couple of new pregnant clients, but I will go to their house with a mask on, very socially distant. But even that is weird. So I can only imagine for you on Zoom, like even going to a brand new person's house, you're like, "What's up? I'm Rebecca. I'll be training you. Let's get started." Like it's definitely awkward at first, but then you just, you kind of warm up to each other. But Zoom, I feel like would be a little bit more difficult.
It is. It's a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had a client like move to Thailand so that his kids can go to school because they have citizenship there, and so they
Oh
are
my
allowed
gosh,
to
that's
host the person.
cool.
So he gave his son the rest of his sessions, and so now I'm like training his son, and I'd never met him before, so we're like in mass in the gym, but like separated. I'm like, "What's
Yeah.
up over there?" Like,
Yeah.
so it's
10 more. Yeah.
um, so then I saw that you're doing like bands and you have some products now that you're selling. So how did you get into all of that?
Yeah. So, what was it? I want to say sometime at Equinox, like my motto is be inspired to inspire. So BITI. And at one point at Equinox, it was our friend Andre actually. He was like, "Why don't you do t-shirts?" I was like, "Okay, I could do t-shirts." Like I'm just kind of like okay, why not?
Yeah.
But that is also met with like me being a perfectionist. So unless something's perfect, I won't put it out there. And that's like, it's been a struggle for me because it's like, again, I love putting new things out there, but I kind of kick myself unless it's perfect, I won't put it out there. And so I started with t-shirts. I started very small. I started just super conservative. I ordered 12 t-shirts and I sold 12 t-shirts, and then I ordered 24 t-shirts, and then I sold those 24, and I just went so on and so forth. And then I realized like, okay, I'm in the fitness industry. I constantly give people a link to the little mini bands, like just any mini band that I could find. And I was like, I've given out so many links, like why don't I just make my own bands? And so I started making my own little, the little stretchy mini bands. And then I went on to I'm like, what's the next best thing after this? So I made the glute bands, like the thick fabric bands. And then I was like, well, I need matching stuff. So I made scrunchies, like to match the band, because everyone puts their hair up when they work out. So I made scrunchies to match the bands. And then during this pandemic, I made masks. So I have a few different things that are out there, but yeah, they all have to do with my brand, which is be inspired to inspire. They all say Biddy on them. So that's kind of what I go by. And I love where I'm at now. I love how much it's grown, but I also love that I didn't give up on that. You know what I mean? Like it was never a dream of mine to sell fitness product, but when it happened, I was like, this is really cool, and it's more than anything, I want to inspire people, and that's like the ultimate goal. So whether or not I sell them a band, I hope that I at least like kind of send some inspiration their way.
Yeah, that's amazing. And where can they find your stuff?
So my website is Biddy Brand, BITIBRAND.com. So biddybrand.com. You can find all of it on there. And yeah, you can see what I'm all about.
So where do you have this idea of, I know you kind of like seem like the type of person kind of like me that kind of just goes with the flow and like, yeah, I'll do this, yeah, I'll do that.
Yes.
Do you have like a vision for where you want your brand to go and your business to go? Do you like have this dream of owning your own gym or making workout videos, or like are you cool just doing what you're doing, or what's your goal for the future?
I mean, right now I'm fairly content. I always am trying to figure out something new that I can do. Like I would love to build an app someday. And so, cause the hardest thing about me being here and my family being in Kansas, it's like, if my family, who I want to help out more than anybody, if they want to train with me, it's very hard to train them. So I want to eventually someday build an app for my people to be able to train with me, not just my family, but anyone around the world. And as far as my brand goes, like my stuff that I sell, I'm just building, like right now, I just came out with a holiday collection for the glute bands, like the fabric bands. So those will be released sometime in November before Thanksgiving. And I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants and figuring out where life takes me each and every day. And I would love to get into like apparel someday, but that's a whole other beast. So it just kind of depends. It depends on how I'm feeling and what I can really see what I love. But as far as like a lot of trainers are like, I want to open my own gym. I've never really been like that. I've never really wanted to open my own gym. I've never really had that as like a passion in the back of my head of something that I want to do. Like if I was given millions of dollars, opening a gym is not something that I would do with that. Like I haven't.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I am getting into the apparel and it is a beast. It is a lot of work. It's very
a lot.
expensive. I'm like, okay, this is a little money, but yeah. So I'm with you on that. A gym has just never been. I working at Equinox and seeing what all goes into it, and like how hard the managers and the higher ups work, and like, and then just like, you know, seeing our friends that have opened gyms and how hard it is to keep it going.
Yeah.
Like that does not sound fun to me
No.
at all.
I feel like, yeah, you would kind of lose, like, I don't want to lose my passion of fitness by opening a gym. I don't want to end up hating fitness because, you know, opening a gym and like, God forbid it fails or something like that. It's not something, I love training. I love my clients. I love being one-on-one and I love helping. If I opened a gym, I feel like that would be like I would be robbed of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it takes away from the passion of like why you got into it and the one-on-one relationship that you build with people. And
Absolutely.
yeah. And then I was going to talk to you about, I saw that you posted the other day a photo of your legs, of like cellulite that you've been dealing with, which I thought was really cool because, you know, a lot of people out there on, you know, looking at social media at influencers like you, assume that you're just perfect, and they look at you know, influencers and models and actors and think, gosh, why can't I look like them, or they, you know, they can't relate to me. And
Right.
so I thought it was very cool that you put that out there to say, you know what, like, yeah, I work really hard, I eat super healthy, you know, I have a great, this is my lifestyle, it's not just something that I do, like this is my lifestyle, but I still have struggles that are out of my hands, like this is just how it is. And so I thought that was really cool. What made you, after all these years, kind of post that and talk about it?
So it's been a roller coaster for me. I think as society, especially us as women, we get this some sort of like unrealistic expectation, and we are all trying to reach that expectation. And you'll see a lot of people on Instagram. There's no, I hate saying an in between, but I was just talking to my client about this earlier. There's no real in between. We have fit, really skinny girls on social media. Kudos to them. Amazing. They look great, whatever. And then you have the plus size category where it's like body positivity and they just own it. Like good for them. They own it. But then there's no real middle ground. There's no like kind of sort of fit, but not so fit, but feels fit and isn't confident. Like there's no sort of in between. And I categorize myself as definitely in between. Like I'm not saying I have a terrible body. I love my body and I've worked very hard for my body. But because I've worked hard for my body, I don't want women to think that I don't struggle with the everyday stuff like a lot of women do. Mm-hmm. And so when I posted that, like that's been like, honestly, like 8 years in the making. And when I posted it, I did not think I was going to get as much love as I did. And then kind of like going back to the whole job thing, like I almost like was kicking myself for not posting it sooner. And I knew like it wasn't a matter of I knew that people would relate. I knew there would be some women out there like, I know how you feel, good for you, all that stuff. But I didn't want to post it because I didn't want the world to see that side of me. Like I didn't want the world to see, because I'm a trainer. Like I shouldn't, in my head, I used to think like I shouldn't have cellulite because I'm a trainer. I shouldn't have struggles because I should be tip top shape all the time and always on and that's just completely false. Like that's not us as trainers at all. You know, we all have our struggles. So I just kind of wanted to, I guess, show that side of me too. And it's still a struggle. It's not like I posted that and said, oh, I love my cellulite. It was, this is what I struggle with on the daily. I can lose 1,000,000 pounds and I still have cellulite. So I just wanted to kind of like, I guess, shed light on some stuff that isn't really that much talked about. And I'm all for body positivity, but when it came to my mentality, that's what's kind of like, that's what gets in the way all the time.
Yeah, it's an insecurity, but I am so glad that you put that out there because, you know, it's just, it shows that, you know, you're relatable, that we all have things that kind of bother us and that we don't really talk about a whole lot. Like social media is kind of the highlights and all of the other stuff kind of like gets hidden. So it's cool that you put that out there, and I completely feel you. There was a long time there at Equinox where like I went through a lot of stuff because I, you know, like I was in a car accident, and so I lost half my small intestines and part of my colon and part of my spleen, and I just don't digest food the way that like others do. And so when I'm, you know, learning from other trainers about what to eat, and I was like killing myself trying to do these diets where you know, like you wake up and you've got, you know, egg whites and then you have like chicken and rice and you have, you know, fish and you have, you know, and these like typical bodybuilder diets, and I'm trying them and I'm like starving myself and killing myself, and I just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and like lifting heavy, like super heavy, where I was super strong but I still didn't look the way that I wanted to. And I thought, well, people aren't going to take me seriously as a trainer, but I'm trying really hard and I'm doing what everyone says I'm supposed to. And it wasn't until I found a holistic doctor that said, well, the reason why you're not seeing the results is because none of this works for your body. And so once he got me on the supplements I needed to be on, and then told me, well, with your blood type and with your like genetic makeup, you're not supposed to have eggs, you're not supposed to have chicken,
all the
you're
stuff.
actually supposed to be vegetarian if not vegan.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I completely changed my diet, which was so hard to do being used to eating the way that I was, to get rid of all of that took a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of really hard still to this day, like going to my family's house and they're eating like all this good food and in and out, and I'm like, okay, I don't eat any of that anymore because I know that my body doesn't like it, and now I feel it, like I can't digest it. And so that was my problem. And so it took a lot of trial and error that people didn't see or that I didn't talk about. And that was a huge insecurity for me because I'm like, it looks like I'm just eating whatever I want, and that's not the case, or like that I'm not working out and I'm actually really strong. And so it took a while for me to figure that out and then just kind of accept like, okay, this is what it is. It's a trial and error and I'm figuring it out. And a lot of girls don't see that process. So they just see like, you know, you look great and you can't relate to me. And so that's a part of the reason why I want to do this podcast, is just to inspire people and have them see a different side that they may not see on social media.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And also too, like one of the biggest, I mean, you know this as a trainer, like one of the biggest questions we get is, well, what do you eat in a day? And I'm just like, well, first of all, what I eat in a day is probably most likely completely different than what you should eat in a day. Meaning like every body type is different. So I always tell them the same thing. I always say, see a nutritionist and see what works for your body type. Cause I'm not going to ever put out a meal plan that just says eat chicken for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and make sure you get protein with each meal, and make sure you get all this animal protein. When if someone looks at that, like you, who a doctor says you're actually supposed to be vegetarian, that's why you're not seeing any results, then that's on me. Like I feel bad as a trainer, someone that told them to eat like that. So I always say, just like, make sure you get to know your body type and talk to the professionals, talk to a nutritionist. Yes, trainers can give you recommendations, but they cannot tell you what your body's doing when you digest stuff. They can't tell you what your digestive system is doing when you put certain stuff in your mouth. So definitely talk to like professionals too and figure it out and kind of go from there.
Right. Yeah. And then when I realized when he had me cut all that out, if I introduce something back in, I would realize more than ever that your body tells you what it likes and what it doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
So for an example, I would eat a banana and I would feel really bloated, and I'd see the difference and I'd feel the difference, and I was like, okay, my body can't digest that for whatever reason, so I got to cut it out. And when you really pay attention, like your body does tell you. So for those of you that think, I can't afford a holistic doctor, or I don't know who to go to, I can't afford a nutritionist, I tell them at that point, like your body will tell you, maybe cut out dairy, cut out meat, cut out all that for a couple of weeks, and then just introduce one thing back in your diet at a time, and it
Absolutely.
will tell you more than ever, like, I don't like this, or maybe you're fine with it. So
Yeah.
but I'm in the same boat. Like, that's the hardest question I get is, well, what do you eat? Okay, I could tell you what I eat, but like, it's not, first of all, not going to be easy because my diet's really hard. Like, even for me,
Mhm.
still, it's hard. And it might not work for you. And that's the thing, like being that person that had that experience of paying trainers or nutritionists that weren't really nutritionists to go, like make me a meal plan. So, and okay, and then being on it forever and kind of it's really hard and killing myself and then just not getting the results. It's
Right.
such a struggle. So it's like just go to the people that you know can help, listen to your
Absolutely.
body and like figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I also want to talk about you got married recently. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We got married on Zoom in June 9th.
Congratulations.
Thanks. We were just kind of at the point where we're just like, let's just do it.
Yeah, because you guys had your wedding kind of planned and then COVID happened.
Yeah, we were supposed to get married August 29th of this year, August 29th, 2020. And then COVID happened, and we're kind of like, we would feel absolutely terrible if we went forward with the wedding and someone, got sick or got COVID. So we just thought it was best for everyone to just postpone the ceremony till next year. And then we're kind of just like, why are we waiting though to actually just get married? So we went ahead and got married in June, just over Zoom with the county clerk, and she put her little judge's robe on. She's like, all right, let's do it. So that was kind of fun, and in a weird way, it was almost more special than what it would have been, just because it was so intimate. Like it was literally just my husband and I. So it was really nice. And then we're going to do the ceremony. I believe we're going to do it next June.
Oh,
So we're going to do the fun stuff later, but we went ahead and got married
I think that's
this
great.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. It doesn't feel like different and everything, but I think once we like have the ceremony and all that fun stuff, I think it'll feel a little different. It'll feel like we actually really did it. And then obviously after that comes the babies and everything. So yeah.
Good. So you guys are planning on having kids in the next few years.
Yes. Yeah. We'll say in the next few years.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I love Jared. Jared actually introduced me to Ben, who's producing this lovely podcast.
Thanks,
Um,
Ben.
so yeah, and then I kind of helped introduce you two, and so it's like we're all just like in this like really cool tight circle, which is really
Yeah.
awesome. And how long have you guys been together? Because you guys met at Equinox.
We met in 2015. The end of 2015 is when we met at Equinox. Yeah, because I remember you in the break room, you're like, so I have this friend. And I was like, wait, does he look like this? And I described Jared to you, and you're like, yeah, his name's Jared. He comes in here around 10 a.m., blah, blah, blah. And I was like, give him my number, give him my address, whatever you need to give him, I'm all in. Like, give him whatever you need to. So
I love
it was
that because
kind
I
of cute.
remember him. I still remember where we were at when he was talking about you and I'm like, you know, I think you guys would be great together. And we were by the stairs downstairs and you were training. And I'm like, you guys would be perfect. I'm telling you, like, you guys would be great. And he's like, really? Do you think she'd be interested in me? I'm like, well, I'll ask her, but I'm sure. And then, yeah, and then I asked you, and I'm just so glad that it worked out. It's like my one and only setup, and it
You
worked out
did good. You did
100%.
good. You
But
definitely are a good matchmaker, at least for me.
well, you're the only one so far, so we'll see if
Okay, well, you're one for one. Good job.
um, but it's been cool to see you guys in your relationship and all the fun trips you guys have taken. You guys like to travel a lot.
We love to travel. That's what's been so hard about COVID is like, well, where can we take a road trip to now, you know? We do. We love traveling. And there's so many places. He used to travel when he was younger. He's been literally everywhere in the world. I have not been everywhere in the world, not even close to it. So there's a lot of stuff that he wants to show me. But we'll have to do that someday. Obviously not anytime soon, but hopefully we can after our wedding next year, we can do a little kickoff by going on our honeymoon summer fun and then continuing to travel after that. But yeah, we love traveling.
Good, yeah. I also I want to travel more as well, and it's just it's so tough because on one hand I'm like, great, I'm doing Zoom with most of my clients, so I could actually work from anywhere. So let's like,
Exactly.
you know, and then with COVID, I'm like, oh wait, like we can
There's a small thing called a pandemic. Yeah, it's like you can go to Mexico. It's funny because we were going to go to Mexico for my birthday, which was middle of September. And we were going to go, but then I literally got my two new pregnant clients like a week before we were going to go. And I was like, wait, I cannot travel to a country that's never been locked down before and like be like, hey, by the way, I know you're pregnant, but I'm going to go to Mexico real quick. I'll be back. Like, that's just not fair. So that was kind of unrealistic, or it became unrealistic of us going. So we went to Vegas instead, which is funny because Vegas honestly was cleaner than LA. I swear. Like, it was so clean. Yeah, if you're doing all Zoom, I would just hang out in Vegas. Like, none of the clubs are open. The strip is kind of like, probably don't stay on, hang out on the strip. But as far as like the hotels go, they were so clean and they were so respectful of like, they were wiping down everything. It was really nice.
Oh wow, I'll have to go.
Yeah.
I'm into Vegas in a minute.
I know we didn't really want to go, but then when we got there, we're like, this is kind of fun. Like, it was fun that there wasn't a lot of people there. There was fun that it was, because the hotel only books, I think they said it was either 30% or 50% capacity, which is really nice because you kind of feel like you're the only ones. And we were there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, came back Sunday. Thursday was nice. Friday was nice. Saturday got a little bit busy, but it still wasn't like normal Vegas,
Yeah, that's been the interesting thing is going different places during this pandemic and seeing how it just is. It's such a different feel because there's nobody there. Like,
Yeah.
my boyfriend kind of surprised me and took me to downtown Disney, and then we were in Orange County, and the movie theaters are open there, so he took me.
I saw that.
And I was like, at first I was a little nervous, but we get there and they're so careful in downtown Disney, and there's hardly anybody there. So we just we ate and we had a little dessert and we walked around, we did some shopping, and then we go to this movie theater, and there was one other couple in the theater on the complete opposite end of the theater from us. And I'm like, this is crazy.
But it's nice because it's like he rented out the whole theater for you.
That's how it felt. I felt that way. I'm like, is this legal? Are we doing something wrong?
Right. What did you see?
Oh my gosh, it was actually pretty terrifying. We didn't realize like how intense it was going to be, but we saw Unhinged, and it was about road rage. And it took place in LA, and so in the beginning, like, they're showing real clips of road rage like ending badly, and that's what the entire movie was about, was this guy who had really bad road rage. His wife had had an affair with this guy, and so I won't like give it away, but he just had a really bad day, and the wrong person honked at him for not going on a green light, and that's what kind of kicked off the movie. And he basically like stole her phone when she was at the gas station and started just kind of killing off her whole family, and like,
Oh
and
my gosh.
yeah, and I'm like, this is really intense.
Was that your first movie experience with him?
Yes, and that's another weird thing is we've been together for over 3 months, and we hadn't seen a movie. Thank you. We hadn't seen a movie together. We haven't done really anything like the
Because
normal.
you can't. Like you literally it's gonna be so fun when everything opens back up because you guys are gonna like start dating all over again.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he's really creative, which is
Yeah.
great. Like our first real date. He knows I want to go to Italy. That's where my family's from, and I've never been. So we had talked about that. Our first like meetup was on a hike because we're trying to think of like what we could do
What
and
you do,
open,
right?
and and so we go on a hike, and I told him I really want to go to Italy. So our first like real date, he takes me to Long Beach for a gondola ride, which I didn't even know they had. And he
Right.
packed this whole basket with like snacks and drinks and a blanket he bought at Target. And he's like, had it all ready. And he's like, well, and it was on 4th of July. And he's like, well, I know that you want to go to Italy, but I thought, well, first of all, we can't go. And second of all, that'd be a little intense for first date. So I thought I'd
Yeah.
stay here and see how it goes. And I just thought it was so perfect. It was 4th of July. There were fireworks everywhere, and it was a full moon. And I'm
I
like, this is
love that.
so magical. And he's been so great at these creative dates, but it is going to be interesting because I told him the other day, I don't know your life outside of a pandemic, and you don't know mine. Like, I used to be way more busier than this. I don't know if I would have the time to like see you as much, or but now with this I realize that I don't have to work as hard as I was before. Like, going all these different all day long, going back and forth from like the valley to the west side to and just kind
Yeah.
of all over the place 6 days a week. I'm like, no, you know what, I can simplify my life a little bit, have a life outside of work, and there are other
Absolutely.
important things, more important things in life than just work. So this has
Absolutely.
actually like made me see a lot of
Yeah.
things that I want to do differently, even when this pandemic is over.
Yeah.
So, but it
I
will be.
love that. Yeah, I feel like I don't know, like I think that you guys, like I said, I feel like it'll be like a fresh not a reset or a restart, but like you guys get to experience it all over again. But also with this pandemic, you guys have had to like he's had to be creative, and it's cool to see that side of him because before it would have been so easy, but now it's like he's met with like a little bit of a challenge, which means that he obviously really likes you because I don't think any man would put in that kind of effort if he didn't feel strongly about somebody. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of nice because you get to see a different side of him that you may or may not have been able to see before.
Yeah. Well, I'm about to like shock everybody because this just will take it to the next level because nobody really knows this, I don't think. But he actually were long distance. So to top it off from that, he lives in Fresno, and he drives 3.5 hours here every other week, and then I'll drive there. So it's like LA. It's hard enough to find someone that will even come from like the west side to the valley or vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
And we both drive 3.5 hours like one way to see each other, and then on top of it plan these like dates for each other. And so this last time he came, it's the second time he's met my family. That's a 6.5 hour drive for him, and he came and he saw my family, and I planned this whole winery trip where we went to a winery and we had great Italian food, and we got ice cream
Aw.
and massages, and like had this whole day and then spent time with my family. But it's been really cool to this whole like the positive thing I guess about this pandemic is we had to, first of all, with that like with the pandemic and being long distance, we got to know each other first on Zoom, on
Absolutely.
FaceTime or Zoom, and really got to know each other and appreciate each other. And so then, it's kind of it's been different in a great way where it's not just physical. We actually like get to know each other and have this like love and respect for each other already, and it feels like we've known each other a lot longer than we have because we talk so much, and it's been great.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
cool. I'm excited for you because I know, like, just working at Equinox with you, I saw all your struggles, and I know it's one thing is very apparent with you. You love love. Like you are a sucker for love, and it's just nice because like I feel like finally like you're getting to that's reciprocated, and it's so nice to hear that from you because I've seen the roller coaster of just love, and one day this, one day that, whatever. But now to hear that from you, that makes me really happy for you. So that's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you so much. I just needed a pandemic. That's all I needed.
That's all you needed. You just needed the whole world to shut down so you could find the real you and he could find you. That's it.
Exactly it. I'm sorry that everyone was inconvenienced by it, but
yeah, I'm so sorry, but I'm in love now, so we're good.
So this can be over now. We can go back to
exactly.
All right. So what's next for you? So you're training now. I know you're training a bunch of pregnant women. I feel like
I got pregnant people like crazy.
You should specialize in that. Make it not.
Yeah, seriously. One of the best things I ever did for myself was get postnatal, prenatal certified. Yeah, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So you're just gonna continue to.
I'm just gonna continue to torture the ones that are not pregnant and be nice to the ones that are pregnant until after they give birth, and then it'll be time to go in. And just continue to work with my people and love what I do and build my brand as much as I can.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, I'm so happy for you that everything's going well. And that you just got married, and that's so exciting. So
thanks. I appreciate that, and I'm happy for you too. That's so exciting.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you when this is all over. I'm sure we'll all get together and
I want to meet your new man.
Wow, let's go on a double date.
Seriously. Let's do it.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. Bye.
All right, bye.